Good morning. We're going to do some more practice with number stories today. Here is the first one. The school custodian, Mr. Granger, brought every pencil he found on the floor this week to the school lost and found. At the end of the week, there were 126 pencils in the lost and found. Mr. Granger said he found 3 pencils in one classroom and 5 pencils in each of 3 classrooms. He then found an equal number of pencils in each of the 9 remaining classrooms. So what we have to solve is how many pencils did he find in each of those 9 classrooms. So remember the steps to solving number stories. Step number 1, you have to be able to understand the problem. Step number 2, you have to make a plan for how you're going to solve it. Step 3, solve the problem. And then step 4, check to make sure your answer is reasonable. So Zorro is talking. If you can hear him over there, he's telling me that he wants some treats. So we're just gonna, I'll check with him later. Okay, so the first thing that I need to do is figure out what I know. So I know that the custodian is picking up the pencils, and he found a total of 126 pencils. One of the classrooms, he found 3 pencils, and then he found 5 pencils in 3 more classrooms, and then there's 9 more classrooms, and he found an equal number of pencils in each of those. So I'm going to start by drawing a picture because I like pictures. So here's the first classroom, and he found 3 in that classroom. And then it said he found 5 in 3 other classrooms. So I'm going to draw those 3 classrooms, and I'm going to put 5 in each of those. And then it tells us that there's 9 more classrooms, and we don't know how many he found in each of those. What we do know is that it's the same amount, and the total of all of the classrooms adds up to 126. So if you want to pause the video right now and go ahead and solve for yourself, and then you can come back and see how I solved it and compare your answer to my answer. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, so if I'm going to go ahead and solve this, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find out how many pencils he has found so far. So I've got 3 in this classroom, and then 5, 5, and 5. So I've got 5, 10, 15, 18 is what he's found in those 4 classrooms. And it told me that he found 126 total. So he's got 126 total pencils. He already found the 18 in these, so I'm going to subtract 18 from my total to see how many more pencils are left out there in these classrooms. So I'm going to borrow from my tens place here. 16 minus 8 is 8. 1 minus 1 is 0, and 1 minus nothing is 1. So there's 108 more pencils, and he found an equal number in each of these 9 classrooms. So if I want to put this number into equal groups, that means I'm going to divide. So I'm going to do 108 divided by the number of classrooms that he found them in, which was 9. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new page here so I can do that work. 108 divided by 9. And this is where I get to use my easy multiples. Okay, so 1 9 is 9. 2 9s is 18. 5 9s is 45. 10 nines is 90. And my next one would be 20 nines, and that's going to be 180, which is more than my dividend, so I do not need to do the 20. So 10 groups of 9 would be 90. So that's 90 pencils out of the total. So then I have 18 pencils left. And 2 more groups of 9 would be 18. And I have no pencils left, which I shouldn't if each room had an even number of pencils. So I did 10 groups of 9 and then 2 groups of 9. So 12 is my answer. So I'm going to go back to the page before. So the answer should be that they found 12 in each of these classrooms. So now remember, you want to go back and check to make sure your answer makes sense. So another way that you could check to make sure your answer makes sense is to do the problem in a different way. So if I look at my drawing here, I have 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. So that's 12 groups of 9, or 9 groups of 12. So 9 groups of 12 would be equal to 108. Plus 10 would be 118. Plus 5 would be 123. Plus 3 more would be 126. And that is the number of pencils that Mr. Granger found. So if I work backwards and go from my answer and add it up to see if it totals what it needs to total, then I can also check it that way. So there were 12 pencils found in each of those classrooms. All right, next problem. Mr. Granger walked by the cafeteria after lunch. He saw that the chairs around the 9 tables had been moved. He saw 12 chairs at each of 5 tables, 5 chairs at each of 3 tables, and 6 chairs at 1 table. He moved the chairs so that each table had the same number. How many chairs did he put at each table? So remember, first of all, have to understand the problem. Second thing is to make a plan. Third thing is to solve it. And the fourth thing is to check to see if you are correct. So go ahead and solve this problem. Pause the video and then come back to see how I solved it, and you can compare our answers. Okay, so again, I'm picturing this in my mind, and I'm seeing the cafeteria, and I see that there's 9 different tables. In the cafeteria, in their cafeteria. And they've moved the tables all around so that there's different amounts of chairs at each table. Okay, so there's my 9 tables. There were 12 chairs at 5 different tables. So instead of drawing 12 dots around the outside, I'm just going to put the number in the center, kind of like I did with that first problem. So at 5 different tables, there were 12 chairs. There were 5 chairs at 3 tables. And then there were 6 chairs at the last table. So he took all the chairs and he moved them so that each table had the same number. So the first thing that I want to do is find out how many chairs were in the cafeteria. So to do that, I would have to add all of these up. Now there's a shortcut because I see that there's 5 groups of 12. So I'm going to go ahead and do 5 times 12 for part of my problem. And I see there's 3 groups of 5. So I'm going to do 3 times 5. And then there's just 1 6. So then I can add the 6 on at the end. So what I've done is I've taken my drawing and I've changed that into an equation to find out how many chairs there were. So 5 times 12 would be 90. No, sorry, 70. No, 60. I'm sorry. Okay, edit, undo, undo. Sorry. 5 times 12 is 60. I hope you caught that mistake there. 3 times 5 is 15. And then I have 6. So 60 plus 15 is 75. Plus 6 is 81. Okay, so there were 81 chairs. And he took all those chairs and he put an equal number at each table. So just like in the first problem, when we take a number and we divide it into equal groups, we are dividing. So we have to take these 81 chairs and divide them by the 9 tables that are in the cafeteria. And if you know your multiplication and division facts, you should be able to tell that 81 divided by 9 is equal to 9. So if we had 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9 times 9 is 81. So there were 9 chairs at each table. All right, check back later today. I'll bring up the home link and we can go over that together. And until next time, see you later.